Hello and welcome to another BlueTube video where we talk all things blue. Today I'm going to be doing a match review on Chelsea versus Barcelona from the International Champions Cup, which just ended around an hour ago, so it's still fresh in my mind. Now, as you can see here, and from the title of the video, the score was 2-2 in normal time, and Chelsea won 4-2 in penalties. So 2 penalty shootouts for Thibaut Courtois in the space of 4 days. Imagine the Community Shield that goes to a penalty shootout. That would be quite funny, but hopefully it won't. But let's get back to this game. So Eden Hazard and Gary Cahill got the goals for us in the beginning, in the first 10 minutes. No, in the, what am I saying? Eden Hazard scored in the 10th minute, Gary Cahill in the 85th minute, and Barcelona scored 2 goals in between through Luis Suarez and Sandro Ramirez. So let's just get straight into the first goal from Eden Hazard. And by the way, if you haven't seen this game live, then I'd strongly urge you to go on YouTube and search for, Chelsea Barcelona highlights and just watch the goals and watch some of the plays so you can get a sense of what I'm actually talking about. But this first Chelsea goal by Eden Hazard was absolutely sublime. It was more of an individual brilliance than a team, passing goal. So what happened was Suma passes it to Hazard. Hazard just weaves through 4 or 5 Barcelona defenders and slots it into the back of the net. He's just class. So Chelsea got off to a really good start. For the first around 20 minutes, we were really dominant. We were in their half, we were getting at their defense. And Barcelona's defense looked really fragile in the first half and really unorganized. And Chelsea had some really good chances to score. For example, Diego Costa had a one-on-one chance with Ter Stegen, who was the goalkeeper, and Diego Costa, he missed. And I'll talk more about Diego Costa later in the video and kind of talk about the previous games, how he's missed some chances as well, but I'll get back to that. So after Eden Hazard scored, and after we scored, we were playing well, but from about the 20th minute, the game kind of moved back to Barcelona's side, and they were getting at us, and Thibaut Courtois pulled off some amazing saves in the first half to keep us in the game. And I think Courtois is just developing to become, he was already an amazing goalkeeper, but now I think he can really challenge Neuer for that #1 spot of world football. But we'll see more of how he develops as the season kicks off and the Champions League and blah blah blah. So after Eden Hazard scored, no more goals for the rest of the half, and the second half kicks off. And by the way, I should have probably told you the starting lineup first. For Chelsea, it was Courtois in goal, Ivanovic, Azpilicueta, Zuma, Cahill in defense, Fabregas and Matic in the 2 holding midfield roles, and forward in front of them were Hazard, Oscar, and Kennedy. I'll talk about him actually, and Diego Costa up front. So Kennedy, I was gonna start off the video talking about him, but I just forgot. Kennedy, I was actually surprised to see him on the starting 11 because he hadn't featured in any of our previous preseason games, and I'm pretty sure the transfer from Fluminense, it's not even official because of some work permit thing. So I don't really know what's happening with that because it hasn't been announced on Chelsea's website. But he played today wearing the number 33 shirt, and I kept a close eye on him right from the beginning of the game just to see how he does. And he actually played really well. In terms of attacking, just his style of play, he reminded me of Willian in the way that he persistently runs after every single ball. He's so energetic. He closes down, every single pass. And he gets back to defend as well. And actually, in around the 4th minute, I think, Barcelona put the ball through to Luis Suarez, and he had a one-on-one chance with Courtois. And Kennedy just comes out of nowhere and takes the ball off him. It was great defending. And in terms of going forward, he's very fast, he's very strong. And there was this one pass that he made from the right-hand side, from the bottom right-hand side of Barcelona's half, all the way to Eden Hazard on the other side of the pitch, making an overlapping run. And it was great vision, great execution of the pass from Kennedy as well. So I'm really looking forward to what he can do in the future. And I really hope that he stays in Chelsea this season instead of going out to loan, as Chelsea have historically shown to youngsters. And I hope that he does stay because I think he does have what it takes, to play in the Premier League. and it'd be really good to have that kind of backup because he's also really versatile. He can play in the central attacking midfield, he can play right mid, he can play striker as well. So it'll be good to have that kind of versatility and that extra backup. Barcelona's squad, all you need to know is they didn't have Neymar, they didn't have Messi because of Copa America. They started with Luis Suarez though, and he played the whole game, or most of the game. And Ter Stegen and goalkeeper, Piqué, Iniesta didn't begin the game, but they came on later in the second half. And that's just kind of all you have to know, because we don't care about them, we only care about us. So in the second half, in terms of Chelsea players, Ramirez and Willian came on to replace Oscar and Kennedy. And actually, speaking of Oscar, I think he played a really good game. Just an extra mention for him. Oscar, I'm really looking forward to see what he can do in the coming season. But back to this. Ramirez Willian comes on, and the first 5 minutes of the second half, we pushed forward, we attacked them, we got at their defense. We didn't make a lot of chances, but we had possession. We were the dominant side. But from the 50th minute until like the 80th minute, for that 30-minute period, Barcelona just showed us why they're champions of Europe. They I don't know what the word is. They dominated us basically, and Chelsea were struggling to make easy passes. We couldn't string together simple passes to make any plays or go forward or anything like that. And especially in the 60th minute, when Jonathan Mikel came on for Matic and Victor Moses came on for Fabregas. So Moses went forward, Ramirez came back. So our two holding midfielders were Ramirez and Mikel from the 60th minute onwards. From then, I feel like we really struggled to transition that ball from defense into offense. Because when we have Matic and Fabregas and Oscar, those players can get the ball from the back and move the whole team forward. But Mikel and Ramirez lack that. So, and maybe midfield is a position where we need a bit more strength and quality. But, leave your thoughts in the comment section down below. I personally think we'll be fine this season with what we've got. But I know some people saying, Chelsea should have bought Axel Witsel, or Chelsea should have bought, whoever, blah, 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 and naming midfielders. Because there are some people concerned about the midfield area. And maybe Pogba can come. I think he'll be a bit too expensive. But before the 60th minute, Barcelona did get a goal in the 52nd minute through Luis Suarez. And this goal is more of an individual mistake from Azpilicueta than an overall defensive failure. Because I feel like the last two games against PSG, especially against the Red Bulls, our defense was just weak. It wasn't effective. It was nowhere near as good as it was last season. And that was a bit worrying. But this game, I feel like Chelsea defended well. I wouldn't say we're back to our best, but we were definitely, miles ahead of where we were last week and the week before that, which was good to see. But Luis Suarez's goal, I'm sure if you watch the highlights, you'll see Cesar Azpilicueta, who isn't the best headerer of the ball. He tried to clear it with his head. The ball didn't get enough distance, and Suarez took advantage of that. And 14 minutes onwards, Sandro Ramirez scored the goal in the 66th minute for Barcelona. And this, I wouldn't blame it on the Chelsea defense as well, but maybe, because, let's see, Courtois, firstly, he had a phenomenal game, right? I can't dispute that. And this goal, Courtois couldn't have done anything. It was more about Mikel and Ramirez, I think. I think those two as a partner are just too weak to play in Chelsea, to play together. If it's like Fabregas and Mikel, or, Matic and Ramirez, then it could be fine because the quality kind of balanced out. But for this goal, basically, Sandro Ramirez from the outside of the box curls it in to the right hand side. A beautiful shot, I'm not even going to deny that, but maybe Mikel and Ramirez could have got closer to them, to Sandro Ramirez, put a bit more pressure on him, and could have avoided that goal. But we did concede. But actually, before that, in the 60th minute, as I said, Loic Remy came on for Diego Costa. But Diego Costa didn't go off because he was having a bad game or anything like that. He actually came off through an injury. And he didn't get injured by a player, tackled by anyone. He actually he was running and he pulled off with his hamstring. and he told Mourinho, I gotta get out, I can't play. It was reminiscent of that game against, who was it last season? Near the back end of last season, I remember when Diego Costa came on, and 10 minutes later, he pulled his hamstring and he had to come off. So, today's game was a similar story. To be honest, right now, Chelsea haven't made a public statement on the severity of the injury, so we won't know if he's going to be off, and if so, how long he's going to be out for. Hopefully, he's not out for too long. Now, I'm really hoping he can get back, in fitness for Sunday's game, or Saturday's game? Sunday's game against Arsenal in the Community Shield. But we'll see about that. But this is concerning. Diego Costa, we know he's injury prone, because before we even bought him in that Atletico Madrid versus Real Madrid Champions League final, Diego Costa had to go off in like the 14th minute, I think, through a hamstring injury, and then in the World Cup he didn't play very well. Spain famously failed. Famously didn't do so well in the World Cup, and partly due to Diego Costa's inefficiencies. But when he came to Chelsea, he was good. The last 2 months, injury, preseason injury, and I wanted to mention this topic. Do you guys think Chelsea need extra reinforcement in the striker area? Because right now, if Diego Costa gets injured, we'll have Falcao and what's his name? Loic Remy. We'll have these two strikers as backup. Is that enough? Of course, last season we only had Drogba, Remy, Diego Costa, and we won the league. But I do remember a situation, a game where we had Diego Costa injured, Drogba injured, and Loic Remy injured as well. So we had to play with no strikers. So I think that could be a possibility this game as well, because we know about Diego Costa's injury proneness. We know that Falcao had a severe knee injury before, and he has had an injury when he was at Manchester United as well. And Loic Remy is, last season he was out for a few weeks as well. So I'm just asking you guys, I'm just putting it out there. Do you guys think we need any extra reinforcements, or do you think just playing someone like Hazard at striker, or Cuadrado, or Kennedy even at striker, in case all our strikers are injured, is a good enough reinforcement and backup? Just tell me your thoughts. And actually, let me get rid of that. Boom. Just tell me your thoughts about that. But hopefully Diego Costa, it's not too severe, and he can get back on the field, before Chelsea's opening game against Swansea City. But we'll see about that. What did I talk about? Yeah, I talked about Sandro Ramirez. And then until the 80th minute, as I said, Barcelona just dominating, getting all the chances, having all the possession. But then in the 85th minute, Chelsea made a break and got a free kick in a good area. Willian crosses it in, and I can't remember who it was. Some Chelsea player heads it back up, and then Gary Cahill gets the second ball and puts it into the back of the net to make it 2-2. But for those of you that haven't watched the game or the highlights, this won't really make sense to you. But for those of you that did, I just want to give a special shout out for Gary Cahill for the braveness and the determination that he showed. It was like a warrior, just because what actually happened was the goalkeeper, Ter Stegen, got subbed off for, who was it? For Masip, and Masip, he came up to get the ball, to punch the ball, and he ended up punching Gary Cahill right in the face. He was bleeding, and the commentator said he might have broken the nose. So hopefully, he's not injured as well. So he did have to go off the pitch. Nathaniel Chalobah came on to replace him. He did pretty well for the last 5 minutes. But Gary Cahill, hopefully he's not too severely injured as well. And maybe he can just wear the Batman mask like Fabregas last season. We'll see what happens with that. Again, no public statement made by Chelsea FC yet. Hopefully, later today they'll do so. And I'll be reporting to you tomorrow about it. So, Gary Cahill scores, makes it 2-2, and the game ends. And on to penalty shootouts. As I said, second penalty shootouts for Thibaut Courtois in the last 4 days. And I think the PSG game actually did help him in this game, because he ended up making one save from Piqué, and Halilovic, he tried the Panenka and he hit the crossbar. Yeah, a bit cheeky from him. So, and Chelsea did end up winning 4-2. Courtois was sensational throughout the whole game, and of course he made the save from Gerard Piqué in the penalty shootouts as well. And in terms of penalties, I think if we do have a penalty shootout in the Community Shield or in any Champions League knockout game, I'm pretty confident that Chelsea will be able to win now. We've had plenty of practice, and all the players have shown that they can score a penalty, that they can strike it into the corner, and I'm confident that Chelsea can win a penalty shootout against any team in the world now. So, you know, if it does come to that later on the season, we can have confidence. So, as for the game ended, Chelsea 2, Barcelona 2, but 4-2 in penalties to Chelsea. Another game, another win, but, you know, maybe it wasn't so convincing because it had to go to penalty shootouts, but definitely, in terms of how we played, a huge improvement from that New York Red Bulls game. And also, I'd say we brought it a step up from the PSG game, and hopefully we can make it that extra step forward for the Chelsea Arsenal game, in the Community Shield, because I think we can win that game. I think we will win that game, and I'm sure Mourinho has something up his sleeve as well. But hopefully our team can just play even better than we did today, and we can just beat Arsenal. And speaking of that game, just predictions. My prediction is gonna be 2-1 to Chelsea. Leave your thoughts down below. What's the score gonna be? Who's gonna score? That kind of thing. And I guess I'll see you guys next time. But before I go, yes, I remembered. Transfer news today. I'll make an extra video about this later on today, so look out for that. And that's just gonna be me talking about Felipe Luis's transfer to Atletico Madrid and how Chelsea needs to reinforce our squad now and what our reaction should be. But until then, I'll see you guys later. Stay blue.